Welcome to Accra, Ghana in West Africa, and I have one question for you. Kira, Kantanka, Lariki, what do these names have in common and what do they mean to you? For most of you, they probably mean nothing. So, all over the continent of Africa, our streets are flooded with foreign made cars. Now, note that this is bad in and of itself because we need these cars after all. The only thing is that we appear to be overly dependent on the importation of cars onto our streets. And we all know what over importation does to the economy: high inflation, devaluation of our currency, etc. Now, there are those that still believe that Africans do not produce any cars of their own, but that's only because they do not know about Kira, Kantanka, Lariki, Mobius, Birkin, and all the other car brands. These are African car brands made and produced on the continent of Africa. Excellent world-class cars made right here in Africa by Africans. Yeah, well, so I'm going to be showing you some of these cars in a bit, but I just want to say that this African car building project has not happened by chance. They have been building these excellent caliber of cars, designing and manufacturing these strong and durable cars that can tackle the rugged terrain of Africa and survive harsh climate as well. And this has been happening for many years. So this kind of flips the script for those that have always believed that African countries do not produce their own cars. Now there are some 54 countries in the whole of Africa, and there are 8 countries out of the 54 that are known to produce their own car brands by their own local companies. So you have 3 of them in the north of Africa: Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. And then you have 5 other countries in sub-Saharan Africa that produce their own cars: Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, and South Africa. Alright, is it a coincidence that all of these 5 countries are English-speaking countries? Well, that's just okay. Alright, so Algeria, they have the SNVI group that have been producing since 1967. Way back, they have been producing buses, trucks, and so on, and they export some of their cars to the Middle East and other parts of Africa. And then you have Morocco that have this Laraki sports car brand, very expensive, and in Morocco, their car industry now accounts for about 22% of their GDP, a total of about $14 billion per year in exports. All right, and then Tunisia have the Tunisians have the Wallace car brand, and it's one of those companies that was the first to export their cars to Europe from Africa. Wallis from Tunisia. Nigeria produces the Innocent car brand. They have buses, trucks, and cars, and they've been around since 2007. Okay, Ghana has been around for. I'm gonna focus on Ghana in a bit too, and I'm gonna show you why Ghana has been at the forefront of the African car production project for many decades. Okay, so Ghana, the current company that produces cars in Ghana, started way back in 1994, and Ghana has the Kantanka car brand. And then you have Kenya that produces the Mobius. Now these are cheaper, affordable cars, rugged and strong, but they are made to be cheaper and more affordable. Okay, so that's produced by Kenya, the Mobius car brand from Kenya. Uganda has the Kira car brands, beautiful cars. And then South Africa produces, well, Uganda has been around since 2014. not too long ago. All right, South Africa has been around since the 80s. 1982, they started producing the Birkin car brand, uh, known for their luxury cars. Yeah, so Ghana has had a history of car production for decades and decades. You know, yeah, many decades. Um, about 50 years ago, Ghana produced two car brands. We call them Wafo and Adom. And back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you would see these cars on the streets of Ghana cities. And my pain is that it wasn't continued. The project of car building wasn't continued. You would see these cars moving on the roads um, decades ago. Sadly, many have attributed the suspension of that project to the political instabilities of the 60s and 70s. And sadly, political instability still happens in some other parts of Africa. Well, not Ghana though, never again. Um, for more than 40 years, Ghana has been a very, very politically stable country. Now, it's said that in the 60s, the first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, he called heads of car importing companies and he sold his vision of assembling foreign cars in the country to them. And so it started. Car assembly plants began in this country way back then in the 60s. Something that car assembling of foreign car assembly in Ghana is a recent development. Now it's been here for many, many, many years. Yeah, and they employed graduates from the universities and tech colleges of Ghana. Now the idea of that in the 60s was to use these car assembly plants as research and development units to transfer technology, and that was an idea that China was to use much, much later in the 1980s. And now China is the biggest car manufacturing country on the entire globe. Did you know that? Yeah, so that's a plan that Ghana was implementing way back in the 60s. Currently, the Kantanka group is the biggest and most well-known car production company in Ghana, and they manufacture every part of the car locally. The body, the interior, and even the engines of the cars are produced right here in Ghana. And let me show you some of the cars that they produce in the country. So these made in Ghana cars are very visible on the streets of Accra, and they are used also by the security forces, the police and the military, and other government departments also use them. This particular one, for example, sighted on the streets of Accra, is a made in Ghana car, a Kantanka car used by the Ghana Airports Company. So Ghana is designing and manufacturing its own cars, and they are all over the streets of Accra. Yeah, so these are some of the Ghana-made cars, and for those that thought it would never happen or couldn't even consider it as a possibility, you know, I have always said that, you know, these car building projects was not done to prove any point to anyone. It was done simply because the country is capable and has always been capable of doing such things, and it went right on ahead and did it. But that aside, we must believe that all is possible, and we must be able to inspire everyone to believe in themselves and believe in their country again. Some have said that Africans today marvel at the miracle of China and Singapore and Malaysia because they have no knowledge of their own history, and they do not know that decades past, some of the examples that certain African countries like Ghana were setting was also an inspiration to some of these Asian countries. I'm happy that you could join me, and I hope that you would consider subscribing to this channel if you found the content to be interesting or valuable to you. Thank you for watching, and catch up with you again in my next video.